Hello. First tonight, how cold weather, snow and ice has once again taken its toll across the region.
Last week, it was the east of the region that bore the brunt, with schools closed and power lines down. Last night, it was the west, with transport links very much in the front line. Now, this is what did the damage. A band of snow moved up from the south, hitting Bedfordshire right in the middle of last night's rush hour. Tonight, on Look East, the very latest on the conditions. Joe Black reports on gridlock in Luton. Richard Daniel is live from Stansted on a chaotic 24 hours for our airports. Later, Gareth George reports from Colchester on a surge of injuries at our hospitals caused by the bad weather. And Ian Balmer has been learning how to drive in the snow with an expert from Diss in Norfolk. We'll be bringing you some tips.
But we start in Northamptonshire. Within the last hour, the police have recovered the body of a man at a lake near the village of Ringsted. Earlier today, they announced that two men, Paul Litchfield and Philip Surridge, had disappeared while they'd been shooting in the area. It's thought the two men may have been trying to rescue a dog. Our reporter Emma Bohr is in Ringsted now.
Yes, some desperately sad news on a bitterly cold night here in Ringsted. The police are still at the scene and they have confirmed that a body has been found, and that's been after hours of searches. A helicopter with a thermal imaging camera searches above Brightwell Lake. Today, temperatures never rose above freezing as the family continued their search. It started last night after people living nearby raised the alarm.
I just spoke to my daughter and she said that she could hear shouting, and her and a friend went running around to find out the source of it, and they called the emergency services, so we took the car to flag down the fire engine to tell them where to go.
Paul Litchfield of Raunds and Philip Surridge of Corby were believed to have been shooting in the area. It's believed they went into the water after a dog. Their vehicle and the dog has been found. Police have been supporting the family throughout the search.
Thoughts go out to the families and their friends at this time. It couldn't be a worse time for them, or for myself and my officers. So, yeah, absolutely, and we're looking to support them wherever we can.
Underwater search teams have been here much of the day, their work hampered by ice on the lake and freezing temperatures. And those freezing temperatures have put a stop to searches for tonight. The lake just to the left of me now has ice on it, and that's meant that they've had to stop searching. But it's not the only missing person inquiry that's going on in the county. Nicholas Hopkins from near Oundle, he's actually being searched for at the moment, and police say that that is also connected to a waterway. And so, but they're saying that it's really important that people take extreme care. Both of those searches are going to continue tomorrow.
Emma, thank you very much. Now, when it comes to disruption, when it snows is just as important as how much it snows. Last night in Bedfordshire, it came down in the middle of the rush hour. Within half an hour, what should have been a short journey suddenly started to take hours. This from Joe Black.
Luton plus snow equals gridlock. For these drivers last night, hours of traffic chaos. There was a virtual standstill on the M1, and roads around the airport suffered when it closed, generating more commuter misery. This morning, abandoned cars waiting to be reclaimed embellished the major routes.
They had a gritter out this morning, no good, okay, and I tried to dig out my Mercedes right in the van. It wasn't worth it. So I thought, that's it, no more. So the Mercedes and the Peugeot is stuck up on the hill, and I can't even move it. I had to walk, I had shopping in my hands. All right, having 4 bags of shopping, it ain't good.
Bev Blair only rejoined her family in Stanbridge this morning after yesterday's 20-minute journey turned into a nightmare. 5 hours later, she gave up and checked into a hotel.
The longer you sat there, the deeper the snow got, and the more chance you felt you weren't going to get home. We were quite surprised to see there was no police, there was no council people, no gritters, nobody there to help anybody. You were just sort of stuck there, and there was no one there to help, really.
Our gritters have actually been out and covered over 50% of the roads, or about 50% of the roads in Luton. Luton is an old town, small narrow roads in a quite a deep valley cut into the Chilterns, and by implication, almost every route out of Luton is hill. And on top of that, last night, for example, the M1 was blocked and we had all the M1 traffic coming through Luton, which was blocking the roads up, so as a consequence, the gritters couldn't actually get in amongst the traffic either.
Today in the village of Caddington, gas engineers have been going house to house to reconnect people. A burst water main on Saturday interrupted the gas and electricity supplies. Villagers have been huddling for warmth at the local sports club ever since.
We haven't done no Christmas shopping, all the Christmas food what we did have to start with, that's all perished. So we've got to start all over again, and it's so close to Christmas now, it's just basically a pain.
We've been sleeping in our house, and then this morning we lost electricity, so we popped down here for some warmth.
Tonight, 2/3 of the village are back on, but around 500 still face an anxious and very cold wait in the run-up to Christmas. Jo Black, BBC Look East.
Airports too were badly affected. Stansted was closed for a short time, Luton for much longer. For both, sorting out the backlog has taken all day. Richard Daniel is at Stansted now. Richard.
Amelia, it's been a deeply frustrating day for air passengers. Many have seen their Christmas travel plans left in tatters. Take the case of one family who we spoke to this morning. They travelled all the way to Stansted here. They were planning to spend their Christmas in Prague. They got to the airport, they were checking in, when suddenly, without any warning, they were told their flight had been cancelled. The reason? There wasn't a flight crew available. But then it was worse than that, because they were then told there was no alternative flight before Christmas to Prague. They were told basically no flight, no holiday over Christmas. They had to simply turn round and head back home. Dawn at Stansted and the snowplows were out again. The airport was forced to close for nearly 2 hours late yesterday. 30 flights were cancelled. Today, with snow affecting airports across Europe, there were delays. Lloyd Goad's flight from Shannon was held up as it approached Stansted.
He said there was congestion at the airport and that he'd have to circle for a good half hour, I think, 3/4 of an hour.
So what, you're running 3 hours late, roughly?
Yeah, as usual.
We've been operating as normal this morning. We have had a small number of cancellations, but that's due to weather problems at the destination airports, mainly in Germany, Italy, France, even Spain's been affected. So that gives you an idea of the scale of the challenge that airports across Europe are facing at the moment.
Meanwhile, Luton was one of the worst affected airports in the country. All flights were suspended as the weather closed in last night.
I'm anticipating spending the night just sitting here in the airport. The hotel that I was in last night is full. So it's a real Christmas story.
This morning the airport was open, but there were many cancellations and delays. The Boyd family from Hertfordshire were hoping to go to Ireland with Ryanair.
We got our bags in, so we thought we were on. We were sitting in the departure lounge and it just came up on the screen that they cancelled the flight.
If we pay about another £700, we can get there.
For EasyJet passengers due to take off before midday, almost all found their flights cancelled, with little chance of replacement tickets before the new year. EasyJet said it had chartered a 200-seat aircraft for the Luton to Paris route in an attempt to reduce the backlog of passengers. Back at Stansted, the snowplows remained on duty. While many people will reach their destination, many others won't. Their plans for Christmas thrown into disarray. Now, EasyJet have told us today the trouble was airport closures meant their aircraft and their air crews ended up in the wrong place, hence the cancellations. They operated around 80% of their scheduled flights in Britain today. They've apologised to customers for the disruption caused. Now, here at Stansted tomorrow, they're actually going to be laying on extra flights to Paris to help out those passengers caught up in the chaos with the Eurostar cancellations. Flights are now getting back to normal, finally, but of course that is scant consolation for people who've had their flights cancelled today and then can't get alternative flights, because most flights now in the lead up to Christmas are fully booked, and really their Christmas travel plans have been left in chaos. Back to you.
Thanks, Richard. And for the latest on the weather and the travel situation where you live, the best advice, as always, is to tune in to your local BBC radio station.